Hello everyone, and welcome back to another tutorial on Paint Along with Bread. So as you can see, we're going to do this drawing, which is quite unique in the sense that it's a initial digital drawing, and we're going to try and understand some of the features of this drawing by doing it ourselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the approach of working from the back to the front. You can see landscapes and pictures like these have prominent front features at the front, and then they go hazy and the tonal value reduces when they're at the back. So the features at the far distant. So let's go ahead and get going. So you can see I got the traced image canvas and the back and the actual traced image. So we just start off with the lighter colors, which is here, you can see here. So over there, so we'll pick that color. I've already filled in some of my the color picker. So we're at really high mode. So I like to keep it at 2/3 density and hardness, and let's use this brush size, and let's just go and highlight the areas that have the lighter features here. Okay, and we won't bother with the details yet. Okay, see what that looks like. Okay, it's not bad. And then pick this, get a color picker and pick this color, which is what I want. And that can go here, here. Notice when I was talking to you about multiple colors, add a sense of dimensions. This is actually what I'm talking about here. Let's go. So you can see it wasn't much different to the previous one, but still it's dark. So now let's go and pick. Let's go and pick this color, which is now mid color, somewhere midway. So let's pick that. So we got this color here, so we can just simply, we'll worry about the details of it later. We're just filling it in here. Notice I'm not really using, although I could use it to see roughly where I'm going. It's a good idea to see what you're drawing. So we know here, so that's, as you can see, it's here, this actual tone. So basically I'm just defining the tones. Let's see, where are we? So this image here, this portion of drawing here. Let's keep going over there, and then we'll do the dark tones here. That's also uncovering here. Then we'll do the dark tones, the foreground, later on once we've done. So here as well. So just go rapidly through this tone so it gives a sense of depth. This image attempts to give you that sense of depth by using these tone values. So it's quite a clever image from that point of view. And you may be asking, well, why does it work really well? It's exactly for that reason. So keep going there. So we get some tone values here. Same tone here. Like you can tell it's like behind the real dark tones that are the foreground. So we got two dark tones for the foreground. We'll work on that when we get there. Yep. So just populating that region. So let's see where we are. It's coming across. Don't worry if you don't get it right. You don't have to be exact. So let's take a look at don't worry about your image just right now. Let's look at that where the other tones are. It's a darker tone here and the very dark tone here and a very dark tone. Obviously with these leaves and the person standing on the boat. Here, dark, you can see. Dark. And then there's sort of a less tone there. So let's hit that tone. Let's get the color picker. Hit that tone. And let's just work on that. So we're just building up that tone value that you can see here. If you look carefully enough, you'll see there's a third tone. So here's one tone, it's another tone. But let's keep working on that. Keep adding that. And then we can always adjust it later on. Which is what we might well probably do. Working on that. So you just find out, you don't, the eyes can't always spot the tone, so I wouldn't worry about it. This, we got that so far. Let's pick that dark color here that you can see, they're all similar. And let's get that color picker and pick that color. You see how dark that is? So again, we'll do the details of it later, but you can see what it looks like. Looks like a mishmash of colors, sporadic colors, but that's fine. I'm not worried about the details just yet. Using long sweeping strokes here, and I know dark tones here, and even go with this little guy here. Okay. Okay, so very dark here, but even if you go over it, you probably get a darker tone. Because remember, we have it the 2/3 of the way up in hardness density settings. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, not bad. So now, before we go on the really dark tones here, maybe we should focus on the background and work our way back, refining the edges, perhaps, and using a smaller brush size. So let's see what we can do. So this one, we've already got the color for this, so we can go back to a palette, pick the color we need, and just work your way and start creating shapes, and then all referring to the traced image here. Just work your way up and then start defining shapes. Okay. So we can probably take the brush size down. And then create the sense of trees, tree lines, structure. No. Then let's see where we are. And we can use that. Use some creativity here and let your eye do the drawing now, you know. Or as you said, you let the eye do the walking. Now this horizontal is quite important because it defines the background, the horizontal, the landscape, which is all very important. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So maybe we want to create more definition to the other tones. Let's go and pick that color and that, and then let's refine it more. So it is beginning to take on shape, which is what we want. Okay. So I'm just building it up here. So the more I add, the more different tones I add, the more I give it that sense of dimension, depth, which is what we want. Okay. So just sort of refining the edges to give more shape to what we already had. You know, use different, now I'm going in a circular strokes, why not, you know, doesn't have to be, I was using vertical strokes, now I'm using circular strokes. These are the effects that you can achieve. You know, creativity, that's the beauty of art. Circular strokes, you can see. Maybe I'll just stick to that circular strokes because I quite like it. Okay, we got that. Okay. Okay, so now let's go back and add more. The darker tones that you can see. Let's find another dark tone here. Yeah. So notice I haven't played with the density, I've just kept it where it is. just trying to work off what I had before. Circular strokes for the trees. Circular strokes. Just keep going round and round. Notice I'm focusing on the edges so it doesn't look too choppy. The image is basically blending, if you could call it that. Okay. Circular strokes. Okay. Again, using the shape, using the dark tone to fill some patches, give it more structure to it. Okay, circular strokes here. Alright, so it's not mad because we don't know how it's coming out, but we can just carry on doing it. So now let's get that darker, even that darker tone I have here, which is, I believe it's that one. And let's really go over, refine that dark area and maybe add the black with this, even more darker. So I think what it is that with people tend to think you're going to have so many brushes to really do a drawing. It's actually a myth. You can work really well with one tool and really make it work. It's just a question of understanding and applying techniques to that brush you're using. It can do so many things. So if you add density, hardness settings and the tone value, you've really got something unique to work with. You're not just laying down just one simple type of brush stroke. It varies by those settings you put in the hardness, tone, value, everything. So nothing too difficult here. I would say to really appreciate it, just keep practicing, trying, and you'll find that over time you'll improve. Notice how it's sort of giving a sensation of depth here, which I'm not sure if you're able to see it, but as I'm doing it I can spot some sense of depth coming out of this. And this is what artists of oils do. They're always applying colors on top of each other and seeing how the overall painting comes out like. I don't know if we need to draw that person in there now, thinking about it. I just go over, strokes, big strokes, even be shy. Okay. Okay, so it's not too bad. Now if I do another even darker tone to that, so I'm just going to go straight to the color palette and add, so you'll see it, maybe, this is what I'm thinking, is that you're going to see even more depth because I'm adding that tone to it, a darker tone, but it will be very close to this dark tone that I'm already doing, and it will be in proximity to that dark tone as well, so you can see what it comes out like. And just to show you that tones do play a big part in giving the sensation of depth and dimension to any drawing. I think appreciating that will allow you to do drawings that are more striking. You can do different flat toned drawings if you so wish, but depends where you want to go with your skills. So now let me show you just by adding a little bit more to see if we can really lift this up. So we're here, let's go here, down here, it's fairly dark, and let's see what happens. So I think I've gone a bit too far, so yeah, because I don't want it like that stands out, as close to it as possible. You can see that just like clouds have these dark areas, we're adding this darkness, and that's why clouds look like 3D fluffy. In fact, this would be the stroke you would use for drawing clouds, maybe. Okay, let's see, don't go overboard with this dark color, just use it where it's really coming out. Right. Taking advantage of like bringing the trunks. Good. So I think what this needs is probably to work on that orange nice color there, to give it, like, you know, really push it back maybe. Let's see if we can push that back even more. So let's pick these colors that we have here. So let's get that color palette right here, and then maybe work around that color tone, right? Really add sense of depth. And remember that in the color we have white in very selected areas, which we'll probably do at the end. And you can see I've picked somewhat a lighter tone than what we use for the background. Really push it back. Okay. So, you know, don't go over too much, because we're gonna add even more. Remember, we're pushing it back. So again, here's what we do. We just take it further to the left. Simple as that. Dimensions in color, yeah? Remember, we have to leave some for the white, like in certain areas. Back. So we know foreground is quite dark, which we will keep adding. But, you know, so far not bad. Maybe take it a bit more there and use a bit more size. Oops, got that. But we can't undo that, but here it is. Just go back here and then use the different side. Merging it. You know, taking out the blemishes helps, isn't it? So it's just not, you know, it's nothing, it's not looking like what we drew, what we were intending to do in the first place, but it's sort of having its own character, having its own personal quality to the whole drawing as I bring it up. No? So if you remember, I was talking about the white. Well, let's go ahead and go move really close to that white and see. So if you notice that if I put a white there, it really does open it up. See, against the dark. So here, right, it doesn't really make that much difference, but here, look at it, right? Really bites through it. So you can take advantage of that. So we have here, and then now let's go really white over here. Now I'm just using a different way, and you know, you can try your own methods here. I'm just doing nothing good. Actually looks, you know, interesting. Okay, so now maybe what I'm gonna do is go, you know, try and address some of the foreground features which are really quite stark. So I could go up and then go down, really pick a color that's quite dark. You know, let's pick that. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's like more refined. Okay, I think we can reduce it a bit and really go up. So about experimenting. See, that's quite harsh. But it gives the impression of being really close. Maybe bring it down so I can control it a bit better. Notice on this original we had these tree leaves here. So maybe we can do something similar. But let's see what we can do with this new thing. It's still not as harsh, but still it adds another, you know, as I do it, it adds maybe the leaves. So now you just have to keep trying, right? You see, it's adding that gives a totally different, what seemed like overly structured is now taking a little bit more of a shape. Okay. I think, you know, I feel as once I've done this, I can almost go a darker color and just go over those areas that I'm sort of defining foliage here, you know. You know, again, don't overdo it, because this is sort of the idea of eyes, the movement. The eye does never stays still in one place. It always tries to move around the image, trying to grasp and get semblance from what it is. You know, so I wouldn't overdo it. So, yeah. It gives a sense that it's at the foreground. Okay. Alright, so now what we can do is work on this land patch here. Try and define it a bit more. So I'm just thinking, should add a little hint of brown maybe there. So let's go stick to the same color palette, which is this here, and then see if that has any brown in there. So I could go down here, maybe add that, and still keeping the density that we have, because it's on the foreground, so I'm okay to do that, keeping that high density hardness you have here, see? Because it's closer to the eye. So now what I can do, can be clever enough and take, notice I'm not just applying it. What I can do is now take that and really go even darker. So about here maybe. Let's see what happens. Yeah, sort of. So instead of keeping the same dark monotone black, dark blue, use that brown. And really bring that brown out here, so it knows that it's part of that landscape. So now, maybe what I'll do is, I feel like a yellow could go there. So if I'm here, and then I go here, I could go maybe a bit here, and see what that does. So they're all they're well aligned to the colors I've used, the top, not deviating too much, although I can see it's starting to deviate now. So we could go for that dark color, though, that makes up this land here. You know, and then if you feel that brown is getting on the way, just cover it up with so it's working quite well. Okay. So yeah, I think you can see that. Try to get this depth here, the front here, and then really take it down. Really take it down, and maybe, you know, increase that more and then reduce it. Really. So we know that this is like really in the right next to. So it's like we know the eyes, it's like can make out some of the features in the foreground. And again, just by adding that, we know that we are. Yeah, and then don't be afraid to add little things. So yeah, so again, leaves we were talking about, maybe see what happens. No, it's not quite what I had in mind. Because we know that the trees are going to be very dark patches. Well, yeah, and then let's go for the white. I always like to go complement the white and maybe reduce that a little bit. see what we can. Yeah, I don't know, just add an interesting effect. Yeah, maybe like light escaping. We don't know, do we? Don't know if there's. Now let's see the difference it makes. So again, be very sparing about with this. I feel like I've got to add some red, like a rose. Add some red. Let's see. And let's take that up a more. Yes. Yes. A rose bed, maybe. Who knows? Complemented by this dark. Okay, maybe define this trunk in the middle because the central region is quite. So let's go back to our color. Maybe pick this, but we're already to very high density, so we have to bring it down. Oops, what happened? Okay, so I'm going to go here. So let's see what happens. Yeah. So this has got shape. Yeah. It's got shape. Very close to that color, but it's quite subtle. You can't see it. See if you go over it, no harm. In fact, gives more illusion of something that has depth. See how it's so dark on that, and then here it's like not dark at all. Again, taking advantage. Again, we did what we did with the white. Maybe add some shape. Okay, it's not too bad. Again, don't overdo it. It's too can be overpowering because the hardness setting is really high on this, and you could lose the whole appeal of this drawing. Okay, maybe end up with some white. Oops. So we can add that white. Some selective. Not, I mean, if you don't like it, just bring it down and the density and just shape it as such, yeah? Yeah. So you can pretty much have Alright, so I think we can say this is more complete. Okay, so we just finish here, take it up and then sign Paintology. And we're done. So thank you for this session, and hopefully we'll bring you another session soon. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.